So I guess we got the Burger Boys. I guess we can talk about the Bond, which is the other main alliance that's kind of formed in the last couple of days, which wasn't shown on the show yet. Maybe they'll show it on the Sunday show. But what basically happened this week is Zach realized that Zay was starting to lose the numbers, and then just went around forming a bunch of alliances with people to try to like use those alliances to leverage votes to keep Zay. And it worked a little bit. Like he was able to get Zay up to 5 votes by the end of the week, but like it definitely was not enough, and it didn't work to completion. So this was a brain trust between Zach, Vince, and oh my god, hold on. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Who is the third one? Lauren, right? It was Zach, Vince, and Lauren made a three, and they got together and they're like, we need to pull some numbers in and make an alliance here. And so they pulled in Ava, Will, and Adrian as the 4, 5, and 6. And they went up into the HOH room and they named the alliance the Bond. And they made like Ava made a bunch of James Bond jokes, and that was that. Obviously, it did not work to the extent that Zach wanted in trying to secure Lauren, Ava. Well, I guess it sort of worked, right? Because like both Will and Adrian do end up voting to keep Zay, but like the idea here was like Zach and Vince trying to accumulate all of the people who are in the middle, like on the fence about, this specific matchup, Zay versus Amy, but also Zay versus Kelly, and bringing them into alliance and being like, hey, we're an alliance. Also, hey, you should probably keep Zay. Wink, wink. But Lauren and Ava do not vote with them, and if they had, that would have been the difference because Vince would have broken the tie. But yeah, that's the Bond, which I think most of the people in that alliance, I think, do consider it their like least fake alliance. And if one of those 6 do win HOH, I think we could see that become the new power core.
Is there any?
Yeah, I know. I know Ava was very like, why aren't we just voting Say out? Like, you'd be so stupid. So I guess that doesn't surprise me. Were the other members of the alliance kind of aware that those 2 weren't going to vote with them, but they're still like okay moving forward with each other?
I think it became clear by today. Like Ava has been telling Will that she's voting out Zay. Like Ava and Will are kind of a duo, which is funny because they voted opposite each other. But like Ava and Will have talked throughout the week about keeping Amy against either of the other 2. So it is interesting that Will does end up voting the way he does. So I think that they definitely were aware of it. I think Adrian, by the eviction vote, knew that, he referenced it when he voted with Julie. He knew like that there was not enough votes and that Zay was going, but he wanted to keep his word to Zay. So yeah, I think by the end, like by the actual eviction, most of the people knew kind of where the votes were lying. I think like, if I had to guess, like I think Kelly and Keanu might have been the only ones who didn't know 100% where the votes were going. The people who actually voted like wrong, which I think is, more indication that Kelly and Keanu have no clue what the fuck is going on.
Right. It's very interesting, and I guess we'll see. But I do appreciate that the at least didn't all vote as a giant block for the first week. That so often happens because everyone's so nervous about being on the wrong side of, especially the first vote. That would get like this kind of boring, like everyone just kind of being like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll vote for this person. I'm glad they at least somewhat stuck to their guns, even if they knew it was a losing effort.
I think the BB Blockbuster also plays a huge role in this, right? We saw this with the AA Arena a lot last year as well, where like because there aren't like solidified 2 nominees, like it's way harder to get people to be committal with their vote because, you know, for instance, like you don't want to broadcast to the House that you're like trying to get Zay voted out, and then Zay turns around and wins the BB Blockbuster, and then you can't even vote him out, and now he's guaranteed to stay. So like even if you have the votes on paper in theory, like you can't make it very obvious to the House because, you know, then you risk that person being pissed at you if they end up winning the competition. And also on top of that, obviously there's 3 different variations of what the noms can be by the end of the week. So yeah, I do think that a lot of these kind of chaotic votes, split votes, can be directly attributed to the BB Blockbuster / AA Arena twist.